Police say Pardo had no criminal record and no history of violence.
It's just not something we see here at any time of the year, especially during Christmas.
The Santa Claus Covina Massacre. The Covina family massacre stands as one of the most chilling and heart-wrenching acts of violence in modern history, a haunting reminder of how fragile and fleeting life can be. It was a crime so horrifying, so senseless, that it shook not just a small community in California, but the entire nation. This is the story of a family's cherished Christmas Eve turned into a nightmare, leaving behind scars that would last a lifetime. It was December 24th, 2008, and the Ortega family, like so many others, gathered together to celebrate Christmas Eve. Their home in Covina, California, was alive with the warmth and joy of the holiday season. The air was filled with the sound of children's laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the delicious aroma of a lovingly prepared meal. It was the kind of evening most families cherish, a time to reconnect, reminisce, and simply be together. Joseph and Alicia Ortega, the family's patriarch and matriarch, had created a home that radiated love. Known for their generosity and strong family bonds, they hosted their children, grandchildren, and extended relatives each year, bringing everyone together under one roof. This Christmas was no different. The evening unfolded like a Norman Rockwell painting. The family had enjoyed a festive meal and were now gathered around the Christmas tree exchanging gifts. The children, brimming with excitement, played games and darted around the house, their laughter echoing through the halls. The adults sat together, sharing stories and memories of Christmases past. It was a picture-perfect holiday, filled with unity, gratitude, and the kind of joy that defines the best family traditions. But unbeknownst to the Ortega family, this idyllic scene was about to take a turn so dark, so unimaginable, that it would become one of California's most infamous tragedies. A stranger at the door. At around 11:30 p.m., the evening was interrupted by an unexpected knock at the door. The sound caught everyone's attention, and curiosity rippled through the room. Who could it be at such a late hour? An 8-year-old girl, her face lighting up with excitement, raced to answer. Her delighted cry of "Santa Claus" filled the room as she saw a man dressed in a red suit standing on the porch. For a brief, fleeting moment, the sight must have seemed magical, an unexpected visit from Santa on Christmas Eve. But what the Ortega family didn't know was that the man at the door wasn't a bringer of joy. He was Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, Sylvia Ortega's ex-husband, and he had come not with gifts, but with guns, a homemade flamethrower, and a sinister plan for revenge. The night descends into horror. As Pardo stepped inside, he pulled out a handgun and opened fire.
He's shooting! He's shooting! What's your address? Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address.
The joyful atmosphere shattered instantly. Screams replaced laughter, and panic swept through the room as family members scrambled for cover. The chaos was unimaginable. Children crying, adults shouting, and the deafening sound of gunshots reverberating through the house. Pardo's attack was methodical and merciless. He fired indiscriminately, targeting anyone in his path. Some family members tried to shield others, while others attempted to hide under furniture or flee the house.
When he shot, I heard the shots and they were like poppers, and I wasn't sure what it was, so everyone started panicking and running, so we all dove under the dining room. Some of us dove, some of us left, I don't know.
But for many, there was no escape. As if the gunfire wasn't enough, Pardo unleashed the second part of his plan. He ignited the homemade flamethrower he had brought with him, turning the Ortega home into an inferno. Flames spread rapidly, fueled by accelerants, consuming everything in their path. The fire roared with terrifying intensity, its heat so extreme that it forced even first responders to retreat. Nine lives lost. By the time the blaze was extinguished, 9 members of the Ortega family were dead. Joseph and Alicia Ortega, the loving patriarch and matriarch who had built their family's strong foundation, were among the victims. Their children, grandchildren, and daughters-in-law were also killed, leaving a gaping hole in the family that could never be filled. The once vibrant home, a sanctuary of love and togetherness, was reduced to ash and rubble. The aftermath was grim, The fire had destroyed nearly all evidence, leaving investigators with the daunting task of identifying the victims through dental records and other forensic methods. The devastation extended beyond the Ortega family. It rippled through the Covina community and beyond. Friends, neighbors, and strangers alike were left grappling with the senselessness of the violence. How could a night meant to celebrate peace and goodwill end in such unfathomable brutality? The man behind the massacre. As details emerged, the focus turned to Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, the man responsible for the attack. Who was he, and what could drive someone to commit such a horrific act? On the surface, Pardo seemed like an average, even likable man. He was described as charming and friendly, someone who had volunteered as an usher at his local church. But beneath this facade, Pardo was harboring a storm of anger, bitterness, and a desire for vengeance. His marriage to Sylvia Ortega had ended in divorce earlier that year, and he had struggled to accept the separation. Friends and acquaintances later described him as someone who had become increasingly withdrawn and resentful.
He was never like this. I'm shocked. I would never picture in my right mind he would ever do something to a family. I'm just devastated.
Financial disputes and the loss of his job had only fueled his rage. In the months leading up to Christmas Eve, Pardo had meticulously planned his attack, purchasing firearms and constructing the flamethrower he would use to carry out his twisted scheme. Community forever changed. The Covina family massacre was more than just a tragic event. It was a wake-up call about the devastating consequences of unchecked rage and malice. It left behind a scar that would take years to heal. For the surviving family members, the loss was incomprehensible, and rebuilding their lives seemed like an insurmountable challenge. Yet, amidst the pain, they found ways to honor the memories of those they lost and to stand as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Second part. Christmas Eve 2008 was supposed to be a time of love, laughter, and togetherness for the Ortega family. As was their cherished tradition, Joseph and Alicia Ortega, the family's beloved patriarch and matriarch, welcomed their children, grandchildren, and extended relatives to their home in Covina, California. This annual celebration was a hallmark of their close-knit family, a chance to reconnect and honor the bonds they had carefully nurtured over decades. The Ortega home was alive with the warmth of the holiday season, a sanctuary of joy, harmony, and shared traditions. The festivities unfolded like a scene from a holiday movie. The grandchildren, buzzing with excitement, played outside in the crisp evening air, their laughter mingling with the gentle rustle of the trees. Some gathered near the pool, others immersed themselves in video games, while upstairs, 17-year-old Michael Ortiz quietly worked on his computer, focused and undisturbed. Downstairs, the adults reminisced about old times, sharing stories and hearty laughter as the glow of the Christmas tree lit up the room. Dinner had been a feast of holiday favorites, and now, with plates cleared and gifts exchanged, the family settled into the relaxed, contented rhythm of the evening. But as the clock neared 11:30 p.m., the tranquility was interrupted by an unexpected knock at the door. The sound drew curious glances, but for the youngest members of the family, it was a moment of unbridled excitement. An 8-year-old girl raced to answer, her heart alight with the magic of Christmas. When she opened the door, her eyes widened with joy. Standing there was a man dressed as Santa Claus. "Santa Claus!" she exclaimed, her voice echoing through the house. It was a moment of pure, innocent wonder. But that wonder was short-lived. The man at the door was not a bringer of holiday cheer. This was Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, Sylvia Ortega's ex-husband, and he had come not with gifts, but with a sinister plan for revenge. Beneath the red suit and beard, Pardo was armed with multiple handguns and a homemade flamethrower. Without hesitation, he raised his gun and shot the little girl in the face. Chaos and courage. The joyful atmosphere inside the Ortega home was shattered in an instant. The sound of gunfire replaced laughter, and screams of terror filled the air as panic erupted. The 8-year-old girl collapsed, gravely wounded but miraculously alive, her head having turned slightly just before the bullet struck. Her uncles, Charles and James Ortega, rushed to protect her, confronting Pardo in a desperate bid to stop his attack. But Pardo, cold and methodical, turned his weapon on them, shooting both men and ending their heroic efforts. The room descended into chaos. Family members scrambled for cover, some diving under the dining table, others attempting to flee to the backyard. The once festive home was now a scene of horror, with adults shouting, children crying, and the deafening sound of gunfire reverberating through the space. Leticia, one of the Ortega daughters, shielded her own young daughter, trying to keep her safe amidst the chaos. With trembling hands, she managed to call 911, her voice quivering as she relayed the horror unfolding around her. "He's shooting. Everyone's running. We're hiding," she told the dispatcher, her words a desperate plea for help.
He's shooting. He's shooting.
What's your address? Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address.
But Bruce Pardo was far from finished. After shooting multiple members of the Ortega family, he unleashed the next phase of his plan. He ignited the homemade flamethrower he had brought, spraying an intense stream of fire into the house. The flames spread rapidly, fueled by accelerants, engulfing the home in minutes. An explosion followed, its force so great that flames shot 40 to 50 feet into the air, visible from blocks away. The Ortega home, once a sanctuary of love and unity, was now a raging inferno. A devastating toll. Firefighters arrived to a scene of utter devastation. The blaze raged with such intensity that it took over 90 minutes to bring under control. By then, the home had been reduced to ash and rubble, its memories and treasures consumed by the flames. Inside, the bodies of 9 family members were discovered, including Joseph and Alicia Ortega, their children, daughters-in-law, and a grandson. The fire had been so intense that victim identification became a painstaking process, relying on dental records, medical documentation, and forensic tools. Survivors described the night in harrowing detail. Those near the front door, including Charles and James Ortega, were the first targets of Pardo's calculated attack. Despite their injuries, the brothers had tried to fight back, displaying extraordinary courage in the face of mortal danger. Tragically, their bravery was not enough to stop the gunmen. Among the survivors was Leticia's young daughter, who, despite her grave injuries, managed to cling to life, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Leticia's quick thinking and courage in calling for help undoubtedly saved lives that night, though the emotional toll of what she had witnessed would haunt her for years to come. A community in mourning. The Covina family massacre was a senseless act of violence that shattered not only the Ortega family but the entire community. Friends, neighbors, and strangers struggled to comprehend the brutality of what had occurred.
Christmases were like, just that special time of the year. It meant so much to them.
How could such unimaginable violence unfold on a night meant for peace and goodwill? The tragedy left a lingering scar, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can hide beneath the surface of even the most celebratory occasions. In the days that followed, investigators worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to the massacre. The picture that emerged was one of premeditated malice, with Bruce Pardo at its center. Once a seemingly ordinary man, Pardo had allowed his anger and bitterness to fester, culminating in an act of pure evil. A chilling legacy. The story of the Covina family massacre is one of profound loss, but also of courage and resilience. For those who survived, rebuilding their lives was a slow and painful process, but they carried forward the memory of their loved ones and the love that had defined their family. The tragedy remains a chilling reminder of how quickly life can change, and how the bonds of family and community can endure even in the face of unspeakable horror. Make sure you subscribe to our channel code 187. Third part. The moments following the Covina family massacre were a whirlwind of chaos, fear, and sheer desperation. In the midst of the unimaginable horror, Leticia Yusufzai, one of the survivors, managed to do what many could not. She made a frantic call to 911. Her voice trembled with fear as she described the devastating scene unfolding around her. She pleaded for help, her words punctuated by the sounds of screams and the distant crackling of fire.
He's shooting. He's shooting.
What's your address? Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address.
Most urgently, she begged for assistance for her 8-year-old daughter, who had been shot in the face during Bruce Jeffrey Pardo's initial attack. In an extraordinary stroke of fortune, the little girl's instincts saved her life. At the very last moment, she turned her head and the bullet that could have been fatal instead grazed her jaw. Though gravely injured, she clung to life. Letitia's desperation on the phone painted a heart-wrenching picture of a mother battling fear, chaos, and the pressing need to save her child. Her quick thinking and courage amidst the terror likely saved lives that night. A house of heroes amidst tragedy. While the massacre unfolded inside, adults moved swiftly to protect the younger family members. They acted heroically, ushering children to safety and helping them escape the nightmare that had engulfed their once safe sanctuary. The backyard, where many of the younger children had been playing earlier in the evening, became a makeshift haven for those fortunate enough to evade the gunman's rampage. The frantic efforts of these family members likely spared numerous lives, as they shielded and guided the most vulnerable to safety. However, the tragedy's toll was devastating. Not everyone managed to escape. 17-year-old Michael Ortiz, who had been upstairs working quietly on his computer, was trapped when the house was engulfed in flames. Unable to flee, he is believed to have perished in the explosion or subsequent fire. Michael's mother, Alicia, was also among those who lost their lives that night. The loss of a mother and son in such a horrifying manner only deepened the devastation felt by the family. The mind of a killer. The events of that night were the culmination of months of meticulous planning by Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, a man consumed by a toxic cocktail of rage, bitterness, and mental instability. His recent divorce from Sylvia Ortega, one of the family members present during the massacre, had left him embittered and vengeful. Pardo's inability to cope with the end of his marriage spiraled into a dangerous obsession. Over several months, he plotted his revenge, gathering firearms, constructing a homemade flamethrower, and even ordering a custom Santa suit as a disguise for his attack. Forensic experts later examined Pardo's actions and uncovered troubling aspects of his psychological state. Traits of narcissism and obsessive-compulsive disorder emerged as potential factors in his calculated violence. These conditions may have amplified his fixation on revenge and his inability to move past his grievances. While these findings provided some insight into Pardo's behavior, they offered no justification for the horrifying acts he carried out. A twisted escape plan thwarted. Pardo's plans extended far beyond the massacre. His methodical preparations included the purchase of a plane ticket to Illinois, where he intended to escape and start a new life. However, in a bitter twist of fate, his own actions thwarted this escape. During the attack, the flames he unleashed consumed not only the Ortega home, but also caused severe injuries to Pardo himself. The Santa suit he wore melted into his skin, leaving him with excruciating burns on his arms, legs, and neck. These injuries rendered him incapable of carrying out the next phase of his plan. Instead of fleeing, Pardo drove 40 miles to his brother's home in Sylmar, California. There, incapacitated by his injuries and unable to face the consequences of his actions, he took his own life. His brother returned home at 3:10 a.m. to a chilling scene. Pardo's lifeless body sprawled on the couch, 2 handguns lying nearby. In a macabre detail, Pardo was still wearing his wedding ring, a symbol of the personal grievances that had driven his rampage. Uncovering the depths of his plan. The investigation into Pardo's actions revealed disturbing and elaborate preparations. Police discovered $177,000 in cash wrapped around his legs, secured with plastic wrap and a specialized girdle. This peculiar measure suggested that Pardo had intended to fund his escape, but his injuries had prevented him from following through. Additionally, authorities found his rental car parked a short distance from his brother's home. The vehicle was rigged with an explosive device designed to detonate if tampered with, forcing bomb technicians to carefully disarm it. At Pardo's home in Montrose, California, investigators uncovered a chilling arsenal of dangerous materials. His garage and living spaces resembled a bomb factory, filled with items that hinted at even greater potential destruction. Empty boxes that once held semi-automatic handguns, high-capacity magazines, and a Benelli M2 tactical shotgun lined the space. The remnants of the highly flammable accelerant used during the massacre were also found, along with homemade explosive devices capable of causing catastrophic harm. The discovery underscored the cold, calculated nature of Pardo's actions and the extent of the threat he posed. The scale of his preparations painted a picture of a man entirely consumed by his vendetta, willing to sacrifice his own future and life in pursuit of destruction. The aftermath. The Covina family massacre left an indelible mark on the Ortega family and the broader community. 9 lives were lost, including beloved parents, children, and siblings, while those who survived carried the physical and emotional scars of that horrific night. For the Covina community, the massacre was a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and mental instability. Investigators and forensic experts who worked tirelessly on the case were deeply affected by what they uncovered. The level of premeditation and the sheer brutality of Pardo's actions shocked even seasoned professionals. In the weeks and months that followed, the massacre spurred conversations about mental health, domestic violence, and the warning signs of potential threats. A legacy of loss and resilience. The Ortega family's resilience in the face of such unimaginable loss has been a testament to the human spirit. They have worked to honor the memory of their loved ones, finding ways to rebuild their lives while carrying the weight of their grief. The Covina family massacre remains a grim example of premeditated violence rooted in personal vendettas, but it also serves as a reminder of the strength and courage of those who survive such tragedies. The events of that night will never be forgotten. They underscore the importance of vigilance, compassion, and addressing the underlying causes of such destructive behavior. For the Ortega family and the Covina community, healing has been a long and ongoing journey, one marked by sorrow, but also by resilience and the enduring power of love. 4th part. Bruce Pardo was known by his friends and acquaintances as a charming and friendly individual. To outsiders, he appeared to be an upstanding member of the community, even volunteering as an usher at a local church. His seemingly warm demeanor and casual, approachable personality made him appear trustworthy, but this image masked deep and troubling personal issues that he kept hidden. Behind closed doors, Bruce was grappling with a storm of financial woes, emotional instability, and unresolved anger that would eventually lead to an unimaginable act of violence. His troubles began to surface more prominently during his marriage to Sylvia Orza, a kind and loving woman with 3 children from previous relationships. Sylvia was described by friends as practical and family-oriented, someone who brought warmth to those around her. The couple initially seemed like a good match, with their relationship beginning on a positive note. They married in 2006 and set out to build a blended family together. Bruce appeared to enjoy the family dynamic, and for a time it seemed like he had found happiness. However, by the 2nd year of their marriage, cracks began to form. Friends and family noticed that Bruce had grown cold and distant. Financial disagreements became a common source of tension. Sylvia, who had her children's well-being to consider, grew increasingly frustrated with Bruce's reluctance to support the family. He resented her financial expectations, and arguments over money became frequent and bitter. By March 2008, the marriage had deteriorated to the point where separation was inevitable. Sylvia moved out of their shared home and in with her sister, leaving Bruce to contend with his growing resentment and feelings of betrayal. While Sylvia worked to rebuild her life, Bruce began plotting a twisted and calculated form of revenge. Unbeknownst to those around him, he started acquiring firearms and ammunition. Between June and December of 2008, he purchased 5 handguns, visiting multiple gun stores and making each purchase seem innocuous. Alongside this arsenal, Bruce also constructed a homemade flamethrower, a lethal device that would later play a central role in his violent plan. Adding to his preparations, Bruce ordered a custom Santa suit from a local costume store, claiming it was for a children's holiday party. This innocuous purchase masked its sinister intent. Bruce also rented 2 vehicles. One was a decoy, while the other was stocked with supplies including maps, water, food, clothing, and a large sum of cash. The level of detail and forethought he put into these preparations painted a chilling picture of premeditation. Bruce's life continued to unravel in other ways during this period. He was fired from his job at an aerospace company for fraud, adding financial strain to his already dire situation. When he applied for unemployment benefits, his claim was denied, deepening his feelings of frustration and victimhood. These setbacks only fueled his anger, particularly towards Sylvia, whom he viewed as the cause of his misfortune. By December 2008, Bruce's divorce was finalized, and any remaining ties to Sylvia were severed. However, instead of moving on, Bruce focused all his energy on executing his vengeful plan. On Christmas Eve, Bruce carried out the Covina family massacre, murdering 9 members of the Ortega family, including his ex-wife Sylvia. He used his homemade flamethrower to set their home ablaze, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. Badly burned during the attack, Bruce abandoned any plans for escape. The flames had consumed not only the Ortega home but also the Santa suit he wore, causing severe injuries to his arms and legs. Bruce fled to his brother's home in Silmar, California, where he took his own life with a single gunshot wound. When police discovered his body, they found a grim scene. Alongside Bruce's remains were $177,000 in cash wrapped around his legs and concealed with plastic wrap. His vehicle, parked nearby, was rigged with explosives, a further indication of his dangerous state of mind. In the wake of the tragedy, Letitia Yusefsky, one of the survivors, emerged as a symbol of resilience and hope. Despite enduring unimaginable loss, Letitia chose to focus on gratitude and healing. She reflected on the overwhelming support she received from friends, family, and even strangers. This collective outpouring of kindness helped her find strength in the face of heartbreak. Rather than allowing anger and hatred to consume her, Letitia embraced the power of love and positivity. She emphasized the importance of cherishing life's blessings, no matter how small. Her ability to channel her pain into gratitude inspired many, offering a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found. Letitia's story of survival and resilience stands as a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome trauma. While the tragedy of the Covina family massacre left an indelible mark on her life, Letitia's response exemplified the strength and courage needed to rebuild and move forward. 5th part. Letitia Yusefsky, a survivor of the Covina family massacre, has chosen to channel her pain into a message of love, resilience, and hope. She firmly believes in the transformative power of love and compassion, especially as tools for teaching future generations to reject hatred and violence. For Letitia, the tragedy she endured has become a call to action, a reminder of the importance of modeling kindness and understanding in a world often marred by conflict. Our children are the future, Letitia often says, emphasizing that it is the responsibility of parents, teachers, and communities to instill values of empathy and compassion. Her message is rooted in her own experiences and the lessons she has learned since that fateful Christmas Eve. Letitia believes that setting a positive example is not only a way to honor those she lost, but also a vital step in preventing such senseless violence from occurring again. She has made it her mission to focus on gratitude and the good in life, even amidst the lingering pain of loss. One of the most inspiring aspects of Letitia's story is her daughter, Katrina. At just 8 years old, Katrina survived the massacre that claimed so many members of her family. Now an adult, Katrina has turned her traumatic experiences into a powerful voice for change. She has become an advocate against gun violence, using her story to raise awareness about the devastating impact of such acts. Whether speaking at events, participating in marches, or engaging with her local community, Katrina's work honors the memory of her loved ones while striving to create a safer world for others. Despite the deep scars left by the tragedy, Letitia and her family have worked tirelessly to maintain their holiday traditions, ensuring that Christmas remains a time of love, remembrance, and unity. Every Christmas Eve, the surviving family members gather to honor those they lost. They visit the graves of their loved ones, bringing flowers and sharing stories about the joy and love the departed brought into their lives. These gatherings are not only a way to grieve, but also a celebration of the enduring bonds of family and the resilience of the human spirit. The massacre also required family members to take on new roles and responsibilities to support one another. One of Letitia's nephews, who lost both his parents in the attack, became the guardian of his 3 younger siblings. His selflessness and strength ensured that his siblings could grow up in a loving and supportive environment, even without their parents. Similarly, Letitia and her husband stepped in to care for her sister's youngest daughter, welcoming her into their home and providing a safe space for her to heal. Recognizing the profound emotional toll on the children, Letitia arranged for them to attend a special camp for grief and trauma. This camp offered a unique opportunity for the young survivors to process their experiences in a supportive environment surrounded by others who had faced similar challenges. The camp became a place of healing and hope, helping the children rebuild their sense of security and find ways to move forward. Letitia also worked hard to preserve the magic of Christmas for the children. She assured them that the Santa who came that night was not the real one, protecting their belief in the joy and wonder of the holiday. Her efforts reflected her unwavering commitment to ensuring that the massacre would not define their lives or rob them of their innocence. Even amidst the pain, Letitia remains steadfast in her belief that Christmas is a time of joy and celebration. She acknowledges the difficulty of facing the holiday season without her loved ones, but focuses on the memories of the happiness they shared. Christmas is about love and togetherness, she says, and we will always have that, no matter what. The family has found solace in the ongoing support of the detectives who worked on their case. These law enforcement officers, deeply touched by the tragedy, continue to check in on the family, especially during the holiday season. Their compassion and care serve as a reminder of the humanity that exists even in the darkest of times. The video concludes with a reflection on the resilience of Letitia and her family. It invites viewers to share their thoughts on the case, encouraging dialogue and engagement with the broader true crime community. The host highlights the importance of stories like Letitia's, not only to honor the victims, but also to inspire change and foster understanding. In the end, the story of the Covina family massacre is one of profound loss, but also one of hope, healing, and the enduring power of love. Letitia's journey is a testament to the human capacity to overcome tragedy and find meaning in even the most painful experiences.